Okay, in our last demonstration we created a genie and we animated the genie so that the genie would move up and down, and we were going now to add a few more bits and bobs into our little domain. So let's have a little look at what we're going to do. So the first thing we are going to look at doing is we're going to add in two more sprites. One is going to be my wall, so SPR wall, and we're also going to add a coin in, but I'll do the coin later. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to wall, and handily these are already set for me to go. I don't want a cracked wall, I want a nice wall. There we are, wall block, and I'm going to click OK. And we're also going to then have to create a wall object, so right click, create object, obj wall, and we're going to select the sprite here for the wall, and that is done. Okay, so I'm going to switch my genie sprite to my wall sprite, and I'm going to click. Now, just as a quick one, you can spend all day clicking here, or if you wanted to, you can click, hold down the shift key, and you can just move your mouse across, and you can see it's just added there. And likewise, if I use the other mouse key, so if I use my right mouse key and hold down the shift, you can see it's taken away multiple as well. Okay, now I'm going to just leave this so it's right to the end there, that's fine. And I'm going to switch my sprites by clicking, going to the object genie, removing the genie, and I'm going to put it up here for now, okay, because I want to test to make sure my gravity works in a moment. Now at the moment we've added that in, we've added our genie, we've moved him up, so let's put a little bit of code behind the genie because the genie doesn't have any code. So we're going to add an event, and it's going to be a keyboard event, and we're going to have the left, and we're going to add one then for the right as well. So what happens when we press the left key and what happens when we press the right. So when I press the left, I'm going to use this move tool, drag that in, and we're going to click the left arrow there. We're going to set the speed of 5, and I'm going to do the same there with the right, drag that move in, put it there as a right hand, and we're going to go 5 again. Now once I've done that, I'm going to click on OK, and we also need to remember to do a no key event. The no key, don't forget, is when nothing's pressed, so we want our sprite to stay static. So I'm just going to put the move in, and it's going to be set to a pause or a stop with a 0 speed. Click OK. So that's my basic movement now done for my little genie. Now if you wanted to try that out, if we just press the play there just to build and execute it, it's not going to have any gravitational pull, so the genie's not going to fall down to the floor. Because we haven't actually set anything yet. So essentially we should hopefully have arrow keys working. So there are my arrow keys as I press the right and then I go left and it's stopping. It's exactly what I wanted to do. Brilliant. Okay, so let's carry on. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of gravity to the game. So as soon as the genie's created, so I'm going to click on add and then create. I'm going to use this tool here, which is set gravity. The direction is the direction in degrees, so this is 270 degrees, and I'm going to set it at a gravitational pull of about 3. Now the higher you make this number, the stronger the gravity is going to be. So that on its own isn't going to be enough to do anything. If I just show you what that will do, the genie will move this time. So you'll probably notice now it'll do something once it's built. Okay, so the genie goes down and it keeps on going. The reason being, we haven't put any collision detection in with this at the moment. So let's go back here and let's go back into our genie and add an event, and let's see what happens when we collide with something. So when I collide with the wall, we need to basically do something. So when I collide with the wall, what we need to basically say is we're going to use a move to contact. The direction is going to be, we're just going to use the word direction because we've already set the direction in the create. We could put 270 there if we wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. Speed there is going to be 12, so the maximum there is going to be 12, and then I'm going to click OK. Now one thing to note there, look, it's against solid objects, so that will come in handy later, and we're going to set a vertical speed then to 0, so it's going to basically move towards the wall, and then as soon as it hits the wall it's going to basically have 0 vertical speed. So So I'm just going to try building this, executing it again, just to see now what this has done. So far we've got movement in, and we've obviously now set gravity. So as soon as the genie is created on screen, the gravity is going to be set. So the gravity goes, whoop, and poof, it's just gone. Now the reason being is these are not actually set to be solid objects. So if I just open my object wall here, can you see this thing here isn't ticked to be solid? So this needs to be ticked to be solid. And now when we compile it, what's going to happen is the genie's going to go down and it's going to just sit on the wall like we need to do. Now if for whatever reason it doesn't, then it means you've done something wrong. So obviously go back and have a quick look at the code that I just put in. I know some people do, there aren't, that's perfect. I know some people do it in a slightly different way, but my arrow keys are still working, which is great, and I can go backwards and forwards and I can stop as well. So what else are we going to do? Well, let's put obviously some collectibles here. So we're going to add in a collectible, and we're also going to have the ability to have the genie jump. So let's do the jump thing first then. So I'm going to go back to my genie, and we're going to go into an add event, and I'm going to click on keyboard, and we're going to do space. Now normally when I'm doing this, I'd normally do a key press, but because of the way I'm going to program this, it doesn't matter that I'm just doing a keyboard, because if I hold my finger down in the space, it's not going to keep on going and going and going. Okay, so I've got a space event here, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically do a little if statement. So if I go into this here, we're just going to basically say if there's anything on the y-axis, so if the y-axis is equal to 1, wherever the genie goes, we're then basically going to say set the vertical speed to, well, at this moment I'm going to put -15 in. Now I will show you what happens in a moment once we've done that. So -15 basically sets the amount of speed that the genie can jump up. Now the higher, or the lower rather, that number is, the higher up it can go. So at the moment it's set to -15 or -15. So as my genie goes over, if I press the space, you can see the space is going up. So that's not great, but obviously that's enough. Now if I needed to, if I were to double click on this, we're going to do 25, so -25. Let's play that now. Okay, so hopefully now what should happen is when I press the space bar, the genie goes up a little bit further, and that is the case. It's great, it does. Good. Okay, that is what I need. Now what I am going to do now is we're going to set a collectible. So if I click OK on this and then go to create sprite, and we're going to see SPR coin. And again, I'm just going to use one of the standard coins that are built in here. I'm not going to make my own. So just as a quick thing as well, you might see these here. These are strips. So with these strips, essentially what these are animated images. So this is a sequence of 32 images. I don't need that at the moment. I'm going to use my standard one coin, and I'm going to press open, and I'm going to click OK. We're going to make a coin object, obj coin, and we're going to set it then to be the sprite. And we're going to click OK, and let's put a few coins on here. So one there, great. Now what we need to do is have a collision event with the coin. Now what we would normally do is, because we put the collision here, right, I could do it in with the genie, but I'm not going to do it with the genie, right? I'm going to put the collision in the coin, because every time I collect a coin, I want that one instance of the coin to disappear. So what we're going to do is we're going to say add event, and then we're going to say collision, and then what happens when I collide with the genie. So when I collide with the genie, this is what we want to do. We want to add in a score. So I've got my score here, and I'm going to set the score to 10, and the score is going to be relative. In other words, it means it'll add up all the time. So it's not going to just stay at 10. It'll be 10, then the next coin will be 20, the next coin will be 30, and so forth. What we also want to do is remove that one instance of that. Okay, so if I click OK on that and OK on that, now what we should find is when we play this now, the exe will have a little name on the top of it. I say name, it'll have a option that says score, and hopefully we'll have a variable of 0 to begin with. Okay, so you can see there's nothing there. Great, let's have a look. As you can see, look, the score now has just gone to 10. That instance has gone, and let me just go over here, and there we are, that's 20. What happens if we go off the edge? Whoop, Genie goes. Okay, so that's great. That's good. Now the game wouldn't actually end if the Genie went over. What we'd have to do is if we wanted to end the game, we'd need to add an event, and we'd need to go to other, and then outside of room. What happens when it hits the outside of the room? Well, what we would do is we would essentially, we can either do one of two things. We can either restart the game or we can end the game, your choice. I'm going to just put a restart in for now. Just click OK, and then let me play this just to show you what it's going to do. So as you can see, this is taking a little bit longer to build each time, because obviously the more times we do this, obviously the bigger it's going to get. So let's just keep on going. And okay, so my Genie's there. I'm going to jump up, and he's going to go down, and it's restarted. Look. Okay, now there is one little issue which I've noticed with this game. So when I'm moving, if I've got the mouse, the arrow keys down, I can't jump at the same time. Okay, so we're going to sort that out now by changing something here, and this is quite handy to do. So I'm going to click on space here, and at the moment it's set to if pressed. So sorry, it's not set to key press, it's set to just look for an event. I'm going to click on change and then look for key press, and we're going to look for space. Alright, so you notice now that's just changed. So all of the code, the actions behind it will stay the same, which is good. So if I click on OK, we're going to run that now. Okay, here we go. Hopefully it should run, and we should see the Genie can move, and I can press the spacebar at the same time. Now if you want the if you want the Genie to jump a little bit more, obviously you can change the variables that we have already set. So you can look at changing the space variables here, so you can basically have it going higher, and you can also change then the gravity if you need to. So that's how to set up some form of jump and set up some gravity with our little game. Now the next one, we're going to look at advancing this game a little bit further, and we're going to get the Genie to jump up onto different levels as well, right, or different platforms.